Hi, and welcome to Quick Bites, a new series where Jonathan and I debate the latest restaurant news in 5 minutes or less. Jonathan, how are we feeling about squeezing all this restaurant news into 5 minutes or less?
Excellent. I cannot wait.
Yeah, it's very exciting. There's a lot to it, so we got a lot to get to. Let's jump into it. We're going to start the timer right now. Okay, so starting up with Mod Pizza. Mod seemed to be on the verge of bankruptcy before it announced that it had sold to Los Angeles-based Elite Restaurant Group. Jonathan, what should we make of this and the future of Mod Pizza?
I would not be 100% confident in the ability of Mod to continue to grow. They are going to have to close a lot of locations, Sam, and they're probably going to cut a lot of staff at the corporate level. I probably would expect fully that they end up filing for bankruptcy anyway, because if you're going to close a lot of locations, Sam, you're going to have to file for bankruptcy.
Yeah, and I think, too, when you look at the fast casual pizza category in general, I mean, this comes on the heels of Blaze Pizza announcing this kind of rebrand that seemed to be pulling back from some of what made fast casual pizza so special in the first place, that sort of customizable lunch option. I think it's just proof now that, of course, everything the brands went through in the pandemic, hard to predict, but I just think that fast casual pizza as a whole, I think we just discovered that customers don't want pizza for lunch, and so that whole category really seems to be at a turning point now.
Yes, you got a lot of different pizza options for sure. Speaking of failing brands, there has been an awful lot of those in the news recently. You might have heard of one of them. It's called Red Lobster, which has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection and is going through its own process. Sam, what does this say about the industry, or is it more about Red Lobster?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both, because I think Red Lobster has been sort of flailing really for about a decade, ever since Darden sold it. I think Red Lobster's not been able to recapture what made it special as a brand in the first place. There's been a lot of leadership transitions. Of course, there was a very fateful supply chain deal that I think probably ultimately was the final nail in a coffin. So Red Lobster as a whole was just not in a good position, and then the pandemic really, and Endless Shrimp, that 1-2 punch really wasn't good for Red Lobster. But if you look at the full service industry as a whole, I think that there are challenges galore. We see all across the board that full service brands are struggling because, of course, traffic is down. There's the labor costs to worry about. There's supply chain costs to worry about, inflation in general. So a lot of full service brands struggling. But if you're working on kind of on your heels as Red Lobster was, then unfortunately Chapter 11 ended up being the only solution for them.
I think you have to go back to 2014 when Red Lobster was sold. They did a $1.5 billion sale leaseback with 2% annual rent escalators. That was a recipe for disaster. The Endless Shrimp deal, to your point, the final nail in the coffin. But the fact of the matter is it was inevitable that something like this was going to happen, because you were putting a ton of pressure on the P&L at Red Lobster.
Yeah, Endless Shrimp, bad idea. That's definitely one big lesson to take away from this. So, Jonathan, it is not all doom and gloom in full service, though. We just found out that Steak and Ale has been resurrected a full 16 years after it shuttered all of its locations. What should we make of this reopening? Should we take this seriously?
The thing you should take away from that opening is that it is impossible to kill a restaurant brand. At some point, somebody is going to take a chance on the name. And I think Paul, the owner of Steak and Ale and Bennigan's, saw an opportunity to tap into nostalgia and is opening a location. When we should take that seriously is when they start adding a bunch more units. Hopefully they will not do a massive sale-leaseback.
Yeah, it's a good point. You can't kill a brand. There's always that loyalty that's lying somewhere under the surface. There's always fans out there. Although I will say 16 years, I mean, when you consider that Gen Z, which seems to be making the world go round, they were basically in diapers 16 years ago, so they're not going to remember what Steak and Ale was.
All right. In other news, the Federal Trade Commission just informed franchisors that they need to stop charging junk fees that were not disclosed in the franchise agreements. Plus, they put the kibosh on non-disparagement clauses that seemingly prevent franchisees from taking their complaints of the franchisor to the government. Sam, in 30 seconds, what do you think of this?
music to franchise ears, I think, because, of course, junk fees, we hate junk fees all around. We hate junk fees in the delivery services. We hate junk fees at all the businesses that we go to. Franchisees especially, they have their life savings on the line. They should not be charged junk fees. So it's a good thing that they're able to get out from under those, and that non-disparagement clause that the FTC also seemingly made it possible now for franchisees to take complaints about their franchisors to the government, which is also good news, empowering franchisees.
Biggest deal in franchise regulation in a very, very long time. Oh, there's my timer.
That is time. That noise means we are out of time. Oh, we couldn't get to it all, but we got to a lot, Jonathan. We got to a lot.
Yeah, we're pretty good for the first time there, Sam.
Jonathan, until next time.
Until next time.